how do we make sense of this brand new world of weight loss drugs that maybe this time are really going to work? They're already seeing widespread adoption, and the Ozempic thing is really kind of freaky. Why would it stop people's other addictive behaviors?
Yeah, look, I'm not sure it does. There's some speculation that it could act on certain pathways in the brain that decreases pleasure from certain addictive behaviors. I think that's speculative at this point. Right now, we only have studies in animal models that were addicted to alcohol, that sought out alcohol, seemed to diminish their craving for alcohol when they were prescribed these drugs. We don't really have human data, so I think that that's speculative right now, and it's not clear whether or not the impact it's having on pleasure-seeking behavior is just from its effects on weight loss. The sense of satiety in diminishing people's craving for food is also having other impacts on other cravings. But we're clearly in the early innings of these drugs. Right now, only 5 million prescriptions were written last year. Many of those were for diabetic patients. And so we're going to see utilization grow from here, given how effective these drugs are in promoting weight loss. To give you sort of a basis of comparison, about 20% of the public's on statins. I don't think we'll get anywhere near that level that are prescribed these GLP-1 drugs, but about 40% of the population is probably indicated for them based on weight alone. And I wouldn't be surprised in the next 5 years if we get to the high single digits of Americans that are prescribed these drugs, assuming that the data continues to show that they're safe and effective for these intended uses.
Yeah, I mean, so many different questions to ask. You know, what are the scientific questions about what are the breakthroughs here? Obviously, the biggest possible headwind in all of this would be unanticipated side effects that could still be yet to be discovered. You're on the board of Pfizer. Is their oral weight loss drug a real rival to the successful products already on the market?
Well, look, the company certainly hopes it's going to be competitive. The data that came out in the Journal of the American Medical Association was released late last year at a medical meeting. There's 2 drugs that Pfizer is developing, another formulation that's an oral once-a-day pill, and in the data that was released yesterday, the company has said previously that they're going to take one of these 2 forward. These are mid-stage clinical trials, so I think it's hard to read across from these trials at the data from some of the other drugs that are more advanced. But there's going to be multiple entrants in this space, and I think as you see more entrants come in, prices should start to come down as well. Right now, these drugs are expensive. The ones that are on the market cost anywhere from $900 to about $1,300 a month. So that's prohibitive for a lot of people, and you're seeing health plans put in place restrictions on access to these medicines for the weight loss indication. But as more competition enters, you see different formulations, oral formulations, as well as IV injectable formulations. Prices hopefully will come down and make these more accessible to more Americans who could benefit from them.
Why did everybody suddenly discover this all at the same time in slightly different versions?
Yeah, I think it really was the data that came out around Mounjaro, the Lilly drug, which looks to be very effective at promoting weight loss in patients who aren't diabetic, as well as the data from Wegovy, the Novo Nordisk drug. So once you saw those very big weight gains in definitive clinical trials, which is relatively recent, patients who didn't have diabetes that were just using these drugs to promote weight loss, who were obese, had BMIs above 30 or above 27 if they had multiple risk factors related to weight gain. That really instigated, I think, wider utilization, because as a public health tool, if you could promote substantial weight loss, 15% weight reductions, which is what we saw with Novo Nordisk, 16% with Mounjaro, Lilly's drug, in a late-stage clinical trial involving 900 patients, seeing that magnitude of weight reduction for a clinician treating a patient who's obese, who has risk factors related to the obesity, that's really profound. You're going to have a big public health impact from that.
Yeah, I mean, we obviously know the cost is a lot to bear, but so is the cost of not treating some of these conditions. What do you think is going to be the harder road?
Right.
Getting it more broadly approved by private insurance or by Medicare, for instance?
I think, well, Medicare, the private plans really administer the utilization of these drugs through the Part D program. I think a lot of health plans right now are putting in place restrictions on access to these drugs, even for patients who are overweight, requiring them to try to pursue other means of weight loss before they move on to these drugs, just given the sheer cost. And employers are doing that as well. I would hope that as the data continues to show that this kind of weight loss is promoting long-term health gains, that in the long run can be cost savings to the healthcare system as a whole and to health insurers, as you said. And I would hope that as more entrants come into the market and we start to see more price competition, they're going to be more accessible to patients, assuming that the data continues to show that they're safe and effective for these uses. Remember, these are old drugs. These aren't new drugs. They've been on the market for a long period of time in daily formulations for diabetes. So we do have more and more experience with these drugs. Now, we don't have as much experience at these doses, the higher doses that are being used for weight loss, and in patients who don't have diabetes. So there's still a lot to learn. But we do have a long experience with the basic molecular entity that's being used in these drugs.
That's an interesting point. So basically people are taking successful diabetes drugs, but with higher doses than then for people who don't already have the condition. And that's effectively what's happening here?
Right. The drugs that are being used, or these drugs being used in the weight loss indication, are being delivered at higher doses. And so it's at the higher doses that you're seeing these profound weight losses in these clinical trials. In diabetes, when they're used in type 2 diabetes, they're generally used in lower doses. But you do see meaningful weight loss in those trials as well, 10% or more weight loss in the clinical trials looking at type 2 diabetics who use these drugs primarily for glucose control, but also found that they promoted weight loss. And as we know, if you're a diabetic patient and you lose weight, that's also going to help with your glucose control.